Well, so this is part one of a roundtable that I'm doing with Christian Klepp, who is a management consultant based in Toronto, Canada. And our roundtable is interesting. All roundtables, I think, are interesting because they're not a presentation. They're really a brainstorming session. So in this one, we started out by these are people who are new to content marketing, and so I did spend quite a bit of time in the beginning to present what content marketing is. But the fun part of this is that then everyone goes out, and for part two, they're going to spend 2 weeks working on their own content campaigns and then coming back to report on what they created and what the test results were. Pretty cool stuff. Take a look. I'm Stu Heineck. I live on an island and write books and conduct coaching and strategy sessions about getting meetings that change people's lives all over the world. Join me as we explore what it takes to literally get a meeting with anyone.
Okay, there we are. So I'm going to say good morning in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to say good afternoon in Toronto and in Florida. And I would have said good evening in the Isle of Man or in Ireland, but apparently Mr. Healy couldn't make it. But I'm going to say welcome to everybody. And thanks for taking the time to join us today on this, this roundtable around how to get a meeting with anyone, right? So my name is Christian Klepp. So I'm from I'm Blake Consulting here in Toronto. And again, thanks for joining us today, because I think we're going to talk about, let's just say, a topic that is relevant to everybody that's on the call, right? It's around the topic of getting meetings with the right people. So everyone on this call, whether you're a business owner or an SDR or a sales rep, to varying degrees, we are all responsible for generating business for our organizations, right? So let's just all agree on the obvious. If you don't get meetings, nothing happens, right? So, and especially given the current state of affairs, I think it's even more imperative for us to look for different ways to get those meetings, especially looking at digital platforms and looking through online channels to do that, right? But we have to do it also in a creative way, right? This is not a round table for you to like go and get some lead gen software and just spam the crap out of everybody. That's not what we're talking about today, right? So we're going to talk about these challenges today, but more than focusing on the challenges, I think what we're going to focus on today as a highlight is an approach or a methodology that's been used by our guest speaker to generate the right meetings with the right people, right? And please come with an open mind. Take notes if you have something to write. And I would urge you to please reserve the questions for the Q&A session at the end, because we will definitely have one, right? So let's just kick off this roundtable. Let's just go around the room and just introduce ourselves. And it's basically three things, right? Your name, obviously, where you're calling in from might be the obvious one, since I said it like a couple of times already. But
we can assume Toronto, right? Mostly.
And your company's name and your position in the company. Okay, so I'll get the ball rolling. So my name is Christian Klepp. I'm the co-founder of I'm Blake Consulting here in Toronto, Canada. And so we are focusing mainly on providing branding and marketing solutions for companies in the B2B tech space. Okay, now let me go and pick our next victim. Julie.
I'm Julie Bro. I am also in Toronto. I'll get more specific and I'll say we're at Yonge and Summerhill, right by the subway station.
Okay.
My company is Logan Wealth Management. We are a boutique investment management firm. My title is Executive Vice President, but I oversee the private wealth management division, taking care of the high net worth clients.
Cool. Welcome.
Nice.
All right, Devesh.
Yeah, so Devesh here. I'm from Toronto as well, but I'll try to get as specific as Julie. I'm at Spadina and Gardner. And yeah, I'm also currently working at Acadium, where we basically do online courses and internships and volunteer experiences in the digital marketing space, and working as a full cycle sales rep over there.
Okay. Stu and Jeremy, are you writing the specific location in Toronto down for your reference?
Yeah. Jeremy, are you writing that down? I didn't notice, but are you writing it down too?
Yeah, all I got is
to take some notes, you know?
It's close to Yonge Street, right? That's all I know.
All right, Jessica.
Hi, Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm currently, in the Greater Toronto area. So I'd say, to be more specific, I'm in Brampton, Ontario. But I am our company's Animation Explainers. We create animated explainer videos that simplify and explain companies and industries all over the U.S. and the U.K. And here in Canada as well. And I'm an SDR. And yeah, great to be here.
Fantastic.
Good to
Welcome,
have you.
welcome. Mr. Ben Israel.
Jeremy Ben Israel, Ecentropy Business Solutions. I am not in Toronto. I may want to be because it's been hot and humid and rainy, all the disgusting things in Florida. But anyway, usually it's sunny year round. What I do is I help companies save money, lower their costs, reduce expenses, eliminate overcharges and overpayments. That's about it.
Fantastic. Welcome, sir. Jack.
Everyone. So yeah, I'm Jack Nguyen. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, but just like Jess, I'm in the GTA area. I'm actually calling from Mississauga, Ontario. And yeah, same thing as Jess, I'm calling from Animation Explainers. That's my company. And we create animation videos, explainer videos for different types of companies around the world. And just like Jess, I'm also an SDR.
Okay. Thank you and welcome. And Margaret, before I introduce the speaker.
Last but not least, that's reserved for Stu. Margaret Can. I work with Christian Klepp on Einblick Consulting. So we're located in the GTA as well, on the east side, Scarborough.
Right. So yeah, at least from the introductions, I think Stu and Jeremy's geography of the GTA has probably improved a lot now. And all right, so thank you everybody, and once again welcome. And let me just introduce the speaker before I hand the baton over to him. All right, so Jeremy, I think you had the pleasure of being with us on that webinar on the 14th of January, and now you actually get to see the speaker. Because
I was going to say, Jeremy, we have power this time. See?
Yeah. So his name's Stu Heinecke, and he's built up a successful career around getting meetings with the right people, right? So he's a Wall Street Journal cartoonist by trade, I would say. The author of the books How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, Get the Meeting, and the third book about the weed strategies, and I'll leave Stu to talk about that a little bit further. A Hall of Fame marketer, and the American Marketing Association dubbed him the father of contact marketing. Now, through this methodology, he's also generated meetings with a lot of people, but two of my favorite stories, which I'm going to tell you here, is, let me see if I get this one right. So when Stu was starting out, he launched this contact marketing campaign where he did an outreach to 24 VPs of circulation at big Manhattan-based magazine publishing groups. So Times, Inc., Forbes, Times Mirror, Condé Nast, and so forth. So that contact campaign cost him $100, put him in touch with all 24 prospects who all agreed to meet him, and they all became his clients. So that's 100% response rate, 100% meeting rate, and 100% conversion rate. But my all-time favorite story is he used that approach also to meet the person who is now his wife. All right. So
She's right here.
Yeah, she's right there. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Stu Heinecke. So Stu, over to you.
Thank you so much. Those are all my stories. They're all that's I'm done. Well, so here's what I'm going to do. I do want to find out. Are you familiar with my book with this one, with How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, or has anyone read it? Just maybe hands. Nobody. I've read it. It's not bad. So, Ben, you have? You're saying?
No, but it's holding my table because one of the legs is shorter than the other
Oh,
three.
good. That's a good use for it. I got it.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. It's on my bucket list.
I'm so glad. Well, it came in useful then. That's good. So, well, okay. So, as Christian explained, I don't know what to call. You said by trade. I am one of the Wall Street Journal cartoonists, but it's kind of a small part of what I do. I am a marketer. I've been nominated twice to Halls of Fame. I work with teams. I help teams break through to their top prospects and accounts. And here's the thing about getting meetings: nothing in life happens without connecting with the right people. Would you all agree? I mean, I think that's why we all strive to get these meetings. And there are all these people that we would love to meet. And if we connected with the right people, everything would change in our lives. Certainly the scale of our careers and our businesses would change, and therefore our lives would change. So getting meetings is really critical. And Christian mentioned my wife. I sorry, baby, but I saw her in a magazine and traveled. I mean, I reached out to her and traveled halfway around the world to meet her. And that was a meeting that's probably my best meeting ever. It changed my life, certainly. So, in all ways and at all levels of life, if we can't get meetings, if we can't make the right connections, then nothing's going to happen. So I've been doing that. I'm going to retell my story a little bit real quickly, though. I've been doing that by using my cartoons. We tend to do well using the things that are ours naturally, that are whatever it is about us, each of us, that makes us unique. Those are things that are very useful in contact campaigns and in contact marketing. So in my own instance, I graduated college and I was ready I'm in marketing, and I was ready to, really what I wanted to do is I wanted to work with the big publishers, big magazine publishers, and I wanted to create direct mail for them. So back when I graduated, they were using a lot of direct mail to, like millions of pieces would go out for each magazine every 6 months, and then every quarter, and they would test. The thing is, it was really an exciting arena to create in, because you're up against all these, or I was up against all these other top creatives, and we were each paid, I don't know, $25,000 to create a letter campaign, and that was that's even more money back then. So it was a lot of money. It was just like that was the big leagues, and I always thought that cartoons would make a lot of sense in these. So I, being a cartoonist, and a marketer, I married the two, and I knew that cartoons were almost always the best read and remembered parts of magazines and newspapers, according to readership surveys. I knew that this would be a winner. And so I wanted to introduce it to the publishing industry and get into that arena of these big creative fees. And so I got two assignments really quickly, one for Rolling Stone, the other for Bon Appetit. And both of those, so I used a personalized cartoon. That was the device that I used. Both of those beat their controls, meaning both of them set new records for response. That's actually pretty surprising. But it's like a rookie walking on the field and hitting a grand slam home run. And so I thought, okay, great. This is my opportunity to bring this to the rest of the publishing industry. But I need to reach about 24 of some of the most difficult people to reach. These were VPs of consumer marketing or circulation at these huge Manhattan-based print media companies. And right now we think of magazines as being almost irrelevant at this point. But back then they were huge. It was really, really important media companies. So it was going to be hard to reach them. So I put together a real quick little campaign, a little 8x10 print of a cartoon that I personalized to each recipient. So each cartoon was about each recipient. They could frame it and stick it up on their walls. And it went with a note that said something like, hey, this is the device I just used to beat the controls for Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit, and I think we should put this to the test for your titles. Let's connect. That was it. It was a really pretty quick message. And Christian, if Christian hadn't told you, I would have asked, what do you think I got for a response rate? And when I asked that question to live audiences, if I'm there in person especially, the thing that I want to do is I want to get people thinking, well, what kind of response rates should we expect? What do you expect from other kinds of campaigns, and what should we expect from these campaigns? And so, if we look at direct mail, for example, where I started, a 1% response rate was supposedly a good response rate. That meant that 99%, of course, didn't respond. And then if you look at, click-through rates, in digital marketing, that could be hundreds or thousands of a percent response. I mean, we're really used to very low response rates in marketing. Well, So then people kind of get a little intrepid, and they say, well, maybe a 10% response rate. Is that what you got? Or 50%? But it was, as Christian said, it was a 100% response rate. All of them agreed to meet as well. So that was a 100% meeting rate. All of them became clients. That was 100% penetration or conversion rate. And it was worth millions of dollars to me. And it cost, that all came from a campaign that I spent about $100 on. So that was my first my first experience with, I didn't even know what to call it. I called it a contact campaign, but back then, but that was my first experience with contact marketing. So the thing is that when we use contact marketing, here's the thing we want. We want people to be saying to them, we want to create a reaction, of course, and we're introducing ourselves to people that generally we don't know. So we're strangers to them. So we really, I remember that Jack and Jessica said that you're SDRs. So I know you go through this, that you reach out to people that don't know you, and you're barely human to them, right? I mean, it's like you have to humanize yourself. We all have to do this. They need to think of us as people. It's like someone they should engage with. And so I think our challenge with contact marketing is to introduce ourselves in a way that not only humanizes us, but also causes people to say, my God, I love the way this person thinks. So we have a really, really cool video that I want to share with you. And I'm going to just set this up real quickly. When I send my cartoon pieces around, by the way, I'm going to show you really quickly what those look like now, if we can do that. So,
yep.
So I call this a big board. And so it's an 18 by 24 inch, 1/4 inch thick foam core board. On the back is branding. That happens to be my branding, but then a message from the sender to the recipient explaining who they are, why they want to meet, and next steps. And then that gets sent in this packaging. So it kind of looks like something that's coming from a cartoon art gallery, maybe. And there it is with the crushed stones, so it protects the art. So, that's what it looks like now. But the thing is, I've been sending cartoons, now. It's the big board I just showed you is what we use for a lot of our agency clients, and so I use cartoons to break through. The thing is, I know they create great response and great reactions, but I'm never there when they're received, so I don't see it. I've never seen it real time until I was sending this one piece to Billie Jean, and his assistant thought ahead. She was really smart. She said, "You know what? This one looks really interesting. I think I better just tape myself or film myself doing an opening or unboxing." And so let's take a look at this, because the reaction is everything here.
All right, just give me a sec. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I usually wait till you get here, Bill, to show your packages, but this one's pretty cool and I'm too anxious to wait and show you. So, here's the reveal. If I can get the cap off. Read how awesome this is. The Tale of the Hired Gun. I ever tell you fellas the story of the Billy Kid? Yep, sure did. How about Wild Bill Jean? You mean the marketing miss from San Diego? At least 100 times before. Yep, you can say that again. Look at the back. I'm kind of in love with this guy. Mad respect.
Okay, well, so let's just think about what we just saw. I said that was my letter or my note saying I'd like to get in touch, and that was Billy's assistant. The one that everyone calls assistants gatekeepers. They're really so much more than that. But that's his assistant, the one that we usually, I guess, think of as there to keep everybody out, saying I'm falling in love with this guy. So, and she wasn't. I don't think she was. She didn't say that really. I mean, I don't know. Anyway. The point is, that is the reaction we want from these contact campaigns, and there it is live. And when we do that, then we don't have It's not a cold call anymore. I mean, it's a really warm. They're going, how did you come up with this? What is this? I love this thing. So that's a very different conversation from hello, and you're interrupting their day, and hey, listen, I just wanted to ask you if click, I mean, we know that happens a lot. So that's what we're looking for. Now, we want to get into discussion as quickly as possible here. So I'm going to just jump into a couple of stories to share with you, and then we're going to go to some breakout sessions, and then we're going to go to discussion afterward, because this is, after all, a roundtable. So, but I'm just going to share a couple more stories with you that I think will inspire you. So one of them is Dan Waldschmidt. Dan Waldschmidt's a turnaround specialist, but he's also one of the top sales bloggers. He publishes the blog Edgy Conversations. He's an ultra competitive athlete. He runs 100-mile races and wins these things. He's crazy, actually. But so that's his brand. His personal brand is knife's edge competitiveness. And so he shared with me his process for reaching out to the CEOs of the companies that need his help. There is no list of companies that is in trouble now, So instead, he combs the business news every morning looking for stories of missed earnings estimates. When he finds one, he has a sword made up. I'm going to show you the sword. I have to back up, but here's one of those swords. And so this thing, it's a real sword. Well, they're made by the prop maker who made all the swords for the movie Gladiator. So it's a really cool sword, and it's not sharp. That's a good thing. It's engraved with the CEO's name on the blade, and either usually his inscriptions: if you're not all in, you're not in at all. And then it comes in this wooden box, beautiful wooden box, felt lined, gorgeous little box with this sword that nobody was expecting, right? And then there's a handwritten note, and the note says, "Dear," let's say Jack, if it was coming to you, it would say, "Dear Jack, listen, business is war, and I noticed you lost a battle recently. I just wanted to let you know, if you ever need a few extra hands in battle, we've got your back." He's offering to go into battle with you. He'll wield a sword right along with you as the recipient of this campaign. Now, what do you suppose, I do get to ask now, what do you suppose he got for a response rate, or is getting for a response rate to this? Jack, I know you're dying to tell us.
A lot better of a response rate, because he got your back.
I wouldn't ask if it wasn't a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so I'll just flip the cards. It was 100. He's getting 100% response rate to this. Now, here's what's interesting. He spends $1,000 a piece every time he sends one of those swords. That's kind of a high stakes game, I suppose. But every time he gets an assignment, a turnaround assignment, that's worth $1 million and up to him. So these numbers are working out beautifully for him. But you don't have to, you know what, I've got to grab something from my desk here real quickly. The thing I want to say is that visual metaphors, grab one more. Visual metaphors don't have to be $1,000 a piece. So here's one that I just love. It's a coffee spill. You can see it's a coffee spill. I hope you can see that it's ultra realistic. If that was sitting on your desk, someone would rush up and say, "Oh my gosh, your coffee spilled." It's kind of like what you would get from a joke shop almost, except, so this one is being used as a visual metaphor, let's say as a drop-by device. So this was for one of my coaching clients, that we made the cup into his calling card, so he could drop that off at the front desk. He could pop a Starbucks card inside there, maybe a note inside there, or he could send that to someone's house, because a lot of people are working from their houses, maybe instead with a Keurig, I don't know, or let's say Starbucks anyway, Starbucks card. What a great way to invite someone to say, let's share a cup of coffee together and have a conversation about whatever. And also, let's say if you're selling insurance, that's a great visual metaphor for loss or risk, isn't it? Because when you spill coffee, like, we're not going to drink it; it's gone. We're just going to mop it up and throw it away. So it's a great way to open up these kinds of conversations. Here's another one. This one, I don't know if you can tell, but that's an ultra realistic lemon, or fake lemon. They don't usually sound like that. So making lemonade out of lemons, there are all kinds of sayings and themes that we can amplify through visual metaphors. That's pretty cool too. I'm going to share. We're really close, but I'm going to share one more story with you because I think this has direct bearing on what you'll be doing next in the breakout. So, when my book came out, when I have two books out on the subject. So there's Get the Meeting, and this is all mirror for me. And sorry, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, and Get the Meeting is a later one. And but when the first one came out, when How to Get a Meeting with Anyone came out, I heard from a lot of people. A lot of people do this stuff naturally. I didn't invent it, certainly. So a lot of people wanted to share their stories with me, and one of them was Dom Steinman, who said, a year ago, I was just graduating college. I didn't know quite what I wanted to do, but I had been recruited by a late stage startup to be an SDR. I thought, okay, that's what I'll do. So went to work and very quickly realized, well, their key performance indicator, their KPI was they had to make 100 calls a day. And he and his colleagues had to make 100 calls a day. And what they were finding was that no one was breaking through, and very, very few good conversations anyway, or any conversations were actually happening. And he was pretty frustrated about it. So one night he's having dinner with a friend, and the friend said, "Well, have you heard of this book, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone? You should read this because there's some great things that I think it would really help you." So he did, and he decided he would use what I call deep personalization. So that's essentially, it's using profile scrapes to come up with something that's really very, very personalized, right? It's directly about or related to just this person. You couldn't turn it into a campaign because, you can. I guess you could just keep doing profile scrapes, but you can't send 1 million of those because no one could do 1 million profile scrapes. So, although there are tools anyway, so he said, okay, so what I did is I decided, okay, I'm going to continue doing my 100 phone calls, but I'm going to start going after some of these really key prospects that I know would be just incredible if we could get them as clients. So the first one he reached out to, he did a profile scrape and discovered the guy was really interested in not falconry, but cooking, family, and technology. So 2 out of 3, he had an apron made up with a Stanley C. Clarke quote, and I think it's "Technology sufficiently advanced will appear as magic." I think that's what it is. Stanley C. Clarke was a futurist. And so he had that embroidered on a barbecue apron and sent it. Got right through to the guy. And the guy said, "Hey, this is so cool. Tell me, what can I do for you? What do you want to know?" And a 6-figure deal ensued. So suddenly his cohorts are saying, "Well, how did you pull that off? What happened?" And so he said, "Well, he told the story, and they said, "Well, could you help us? Could you teach us this?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So one of the first ones that he involved himself with was someone else. Someone had a prospect, again, that no one in the company had been able to reach. And so they ran a profile scrape, discovered the guy was really interested in falconry. And so they went to a falconry site, talked to the owner, and said, what kind of a gift can we give this fellow? And the owner said, "Take a look at this glove." Falconry, it's hunting with falcons. And so there's these ornate, thank God you don't have to get 2 of them. You don't wear 2 gloves, just one. So, because if it was $100, it would have been $200 worth of gloves then otherwise, but $100 for this glove. And he said, "Look, take a look at this glove. It's beautiful. All the falconers love this." So okay, great. They ordered it, had it shipped to the fellow's address, but they downloaded a picture of it from the site and sent it to him in an email saying, "Hey, I just bought this for you. It'll arrive shortly. And I'm sending it because really, I just want to have a conversation with you." And the guy wrote back immediately. Now, keep in mind, this is someone that no one in the company had been able to reach. He wasn't responding to anyone. Well, he responded right away to this, and he said, "Listen, thank you so much. This is really cool, but you're spot on. I am a falconer, but I'm just not a prospect for what you do. But listen, again, thank you for what you did." Well, then, a week or so, I don't know, a few days went by. Then the glove shows up, and he got back in touch immediately and said, "Oh my God, I got the glove. This is so cool. I love this. Look, remember I told you I wasn't a prospect? Well, I'm not, but here's the thing. I know at least 3 CIOs who could use your service right now. I'm going to make introductions. He did, and more 6-figure deals ensued. Well, then the management upstairs is saying, "What's going on down there? Why are you? How is that happening? That's wonderful, but how's it happening?" And they explained the story. Dom is the hero of the story, and so Dom was promoted to sales manager within a year of joining the company, and that company then was sold, I think, to Cisco for $4.7 billion. So, in the span of a year, just because he used contact marketing. And I would love to say because he read my book, but anyway, because he used contact marketing, he went from a new hire SDR to the sales manager of a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. That's the power of deep personalization. Now we're gonna do. We're right on time.
Yeah.
We're
right on time.
So I'm going to hand it over to Christian again, but keep these things in mind because I think they're going to help you with this next exercise.
All right. Thank you, Stu. All right, everybody. So we're a relatively small group today, so we're just going to split up into 2 breakout rooms. I mean, everybody except Stu, of course, right? That'd be kind of a bit.
I'll just go hide somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll each group will have 5 minutes, and we'll do a little bit of a brainstorming. And the task, basically, based on what Stu has been talking about in the past couple of minutes, is the question would be, if money were not an issue, okay? So let's say you've got the same budget as Microsoft, right? Describe your ultimate contact campaign. What tools and techniques you would use, and what would it look like, and who you would target. And I appreciate that, everybody here is in a different industry, but like just for the sake of discussion, let's just say that money weren't an issue. What kind of contact marketing campaigns could you come up with? All right. So just bear with me a second, and I'll put everybody into their breakout rooms, and we'll have 5 minutes, and there'll be a timer on, so you can keep track of time, and then we'll meet back in the main meeting room. All right. So see you guys in a bit.
We then took 5 minutes for a breakout session.
Welcome back, everyone. We lost Julie there for a sec. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah. I see smiles. This is good.
Okay.
Can't wait. Let's see what you come up with.
Welcome back to the main room, folks. Okay, who wants to go first? Don't all jump at the opportunity now. Okay, who was in group 1?
Oh, I don't know if anyone knows which number they're in.
Well, Margaret, your team.
Julie, you wanna, or I can?
You go for it, Margaret.
Okay. So let me summarize. I think the key is to show them we care about them. So we thought about some idea, really get to know about them, what their interests are. For example, we're saying that Montreal lost, but we're on your side and we'll help you win the next game. We thought about something really personalized, like if money's not an issue, right?
Do you know how to say that in French?
Well,
you don't have to in Toronto, do you?
But Montreal.
Not in Toronto, but we're talking about Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah. So it's really, I think the core idea is really get to know their interests and do something, and that will lead to trust, and to make them feel that they're not just a number. We care about them, and genuinely we want to help them. So
good. That's great. Julie, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think she summed it up, I think, really well.
Yeah. Okay. And Julie, did you say you're in? So you're in Montreal?
No, I'm in Toronto.
Okay, I'm not sure where. Okay. Anyway, I think I think those are great, and I was hoping that Dom's story might create an impression, and it obviously did. It's so using deep personalization is a great way to connect. It's really. Yeah. You don't even have to come up with a formal campaign. I showed you the big board before, and that requires, that's an example of wide personalization. All we have to do is change names. And that's easy. So there's the thing is, one is not right and the other's wrong. They both have great value. So in a wide personalization stance, we're creating a campaign. All of the messaging is written out. It's finely tuned. It's approved. It has legal approval. All that stuff that you would expect from a campaign. And then you can run it then there's absolute consistency in branding and messaging.
Yeah.
But there's another. But
so,
when
sorry,
you use,
Stu, sorry. I think Jack had something to add.
Jack.
Oh yeah, so like that personalization thing, like we were talking about like the Montreal thing. We were saying to send someone like a Montreal Canadiens jersey, and then we'll like engrave on the back, kind of like the idea of like the glove and like the sword and something that's something like that actually piques their interest if they actually have an interest on a sports team. So if they're interested in like the Montreal Canadiens, and then we'll send like say, oh hey, we're saying like, oh hey, the Montreal Canadiens didn't get your back, but we will. You know, like, it's kind of like funny, but at the same time, it's like personalized to them because like they really like the team.
Yeah. And so what I was just about to say about deep personalization, and I think that supports this too, is just that, okay, so this isn't a mass campaign. You are checking into people's, you're actually getting to know these people. You're doing your homework, and that's really important. You're picking up on things, it could be things that they're interested in. I mean, when we go to LinkedIn profiles, we can see where they went to school. So we can send a mug or a T-shirt from their alma mater. I went to USC, but it was so long ago. Yeah, obviously, right? But it was so long ago that that's not very current for me. So we want to go deeper than that. And I would say certainly in these profile scrapes, when we're going to social media profiles, we want to see what they're talking about, and then we want to address that. We just want to take on something about that. And I wonder, are we able to show that post real quickly?
The one from LinkedIn.
Yeah, because I think this might relate to it. So this is the setup real quickly is that. I'm reaching out to Brandon Bernanson, the CEO of Seamless, and so he's been talking. They moved to I guess Miami. They have this new office that's on the waterfront. You could just jump out and go swimming, I guess. I don't know, Ben. You'll have to tell me if that's safe. I don't even know, but you can see though that there's I set up this. I just made this in Photoshop. I drew this. I mean, the cartoon is a real cartoon. It's about Brandon, and he's on one of those hydroplaning surfboards. I guess when you made it big, everyone goes out and gets one of those and tries to learn how to do it. So that's what he's doing, and so that's what it's all about. It's that he's in his new world headquarters, and they're just establishing the offices. We know what the drama is about coming back to the office. Right now, a lot of people don't want to come back to the office. So I think company leaders are saying, okay, then how do we make the office really, really interesting? And so putting it on the waterfront is probably nice. And being able to have activities like this, like that surfing is that's a nice way to work. So I wanted to celebrate that with him by putting together this, that would be about an 8-foot, like an 8x4 foot piece of art. And I said, you can see it, new lobby art for the secret new seamless.ai world headquarters. Brandon Bernanson, if you approve, I will send. We've already been in contact. If you scroll down a little bit further, it's not saying how many. I can tell you it's over 3,000 views. But the thing that's really important here is that I'm going to bring a little weed strategy and theory into this. We want the impetus for our contact, for getting in touch with us, and for a sale to spread, to do business with us, to spread like a weed throughout the target organization. And that's exactly what this is doing. This thing, I didn't even have to produce it. It would be it might be $700 or $800 to produce that piece. And I've already heard from Brandon, he'd like a smaller one for his home office, and that's fine. But because when I go in and I look at who has viewed this, and where they're from, it's spread throughout. I think it's probably spread throughout the entire organization now. So everybody knows about it, and that's a great thing. That's something we want to. We can stop sharing the screen now, but that's there's an example of the effect that deep personalization can have, and we can dig really. There's all kinds of sources for information. So I should mention Seamless is one actually.
Yeah.
Seamless it uses AI, and it's a search engine that creates sort of a top level profile scrape on just about anyone. And there's things like Boardroom Insiders is a good one. Going to their websites is a good place. If you can go and if you're reaching someone who's one of the leaders, then you'll find their bio in the About Us section.
Yeah.
So but particularly looking at what they're posting, because that cartoon that I did about Brandon is exactly, it's targeted to his posts and what he's been talking about. So
exactly.
we didn't. So
we've got a second group that needs to share.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think was it Jeremy and Jessica, right? Yeah.
Yep. Jeremy, did you want to take it away or?
All we talked about was the weather and politics and philosophy and religion.
Pretty much.
Politics.
Well, that was a waste of time.
Oh my God. Oh, awful. Jessica, you want to?
Yeah, so we were along the same lines of like that personal approach. I was having a little bit more geared towards, our particular industries and our particular companies that we operate in. So for, animation explainers, oftentimes, you're having these prospects come in and they're not visualizing it for themselves. So if money wasn't an option, I definitely think along that same approach of that LinkedIn post campaign, having something that's personalized to our prospects, maybe it being a 10-second clip or less, something that can just showcase their branding with our animations, and then they can get an idea, and then that can help them get over a little bit of that confusion element rather than, not having that. So that was kind of we were kind of, brainstorming along that side and saying, again, that personalized approach, I think you're right. It's 100% effective. You're definitely going to have people look at it a lot differently than, the other route, the other option. Yeah.
I have a question, and that is, what did it feel like to go through this exercise?
Great.
It is fun, right?
No, it is. Yeah, without having to think of a budget in mind. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. That does help. That always sets things free.
There's that tiny little problem with the budget, right?
Well, yeah, but if when you think about Dan's swords costing $1,000 a piece, no other campaign would you say, $1,000 unit cost is fine. But if the reward on the other end is there, then or the monetization is there, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you thought about that, because Jessica, Jack, I think you have a great device actually to play with. I don't know if you're using it in your contact campaigns now. It seems like it would be a great thing to play with.
Yeah, we definitely have elements of it, of past projects that we've done similar to those industries that we do. So that's the form, but to definitely think we can enhance it in that way and more approach.
The one thing I want to point out, when I've been doing these campaigns, and by the way, anyway, I was going to talk about time, but Christian's
I'm watching the time. Just keep going.
Okay. So
if you see me going,
well, I totally lost it. I was thinking, oh my God, the time we're gonna. So we'll skip that for now. But I'm glad to see though that you're if I had just sat there talking, they're great stories, and I'm having a good time. But I don't know that you are, and I don't know that it's really challenging. But when you go out and you try this and you say, well, I could do anything, and I can spend anything I want to spend. It becomes a lot of fun to actually, it's kind of mischieful on people, but it's fun. I guess that is fun. Mischief is fun, but it's mischief on kind of a grand scale, and you end up being able to sell as a result of it.
Yeah, and if I could just add something onto that, Stu, which I think was also something I observed in the last webinar. These are applicable across different industries, because sometimes, and I'm sure you get it a lot, right? People are going to be like, well, yeah, but that won't work in my industry, right? Like you'll get people that come with that. But the objective of the exercise is not to, and I believe that's your point. It's not just using cartoons. It's that approach, right? It's that personalized approach that gets you to help to understand the people that you're reaching out to, and that's applicable across the board.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then the thing that that is always a temptation. It's a horrible temptation among marketers and all of us in business, and that's to talk about ourselves. And so one of the things we discovered really quickly when I was creating direct mail campaigns, and all these publishers are saying, this is great. Could you change this so that it's about us and about our offer? And could you put our logo on the building showing, in the background? Or could you put a tchotchke on the desk that has our logo on there? Or could you just put a damn logo on the, put the logo in the cartoon, just on the cartoon? And every time, the few times I allowed that to happen, it killed the campaign. It's like, I don't know, do you see Geico commercials on TV? Is anyone familiar with those? We all know about those commercials, but do you roll your eyes? I do. I think I'm not alone. I roll my eyes because they're trying to use humor, but the humor is about themselves. It's always about their brand. It's just boring. It's hokey. It's horrible. But when you whether it's humor or some other approach, when you focus on the people that you're reaching out to, and that's, I think, why deep personalization works so well and so appealing, then the magic happens. Right? I mean, do you get that feeling? Because I think so. Jack and Jessica, I really think you have an amazing opportunity. Jeremy, I'm surprised this didn't come up because you're talking about spillage in your business.
I actually have the same exact one.
I got it. Okay.
That's why I was when you showed it.
I think spillage would be perfect for yours because that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great visual metaphor for it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
Let's just a time check. We've probably got like a little bit of time for Q&A, so maybe one or two questions if anybody has any for Stu. No questions? There we go. Yeah.
Well, more of a logistics question, Stu. Something like that spillage, could be perfect for a lot of different industries and services offered. But how would you'd have to ship it, and have enough packaging to have cushion so it doesn't break. Something that's fragile like that. A small point, but
I think so. Yeah, I would. Let me grab something real quick. So here's I think pine boxes are a great way to ship anything. So I'm going to show you what's inside there. Don't be too shocked. But anyway, that is well, look, if that's what your vendors are giving you, we'd like to change that. So that's a visual metaphor as well. But I've just used some double-sided tape to secure it, and I think that would work. I think that would work fine for the coffee spill. Because you're right. I'm trying to get it to go back in, but you're right. You don't want it to be damaged. Here's the thing about this coffee spill. It's so darn cool. They're going to keep that on their desk, unless they don't have a room. But they'll put it somewhere in their office, somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they're even at home. But if they're at their, particularly if their work office, they'll keep it on their desk. And people will walk in and they'll start conversations constantly. But if your logo and your contact information is really basically a calling card.
Yeah.
So if that's on there, the conversation keeps going. Who sent that to you? Oh my gosh, I got to, perhaps you'll get even more response than the number of people that you send it out to. So the thing is, in this book, I talked about jewel boxing, and so putting anything, literally, when you saw what was in this box, makes it more impressive and more interesting. So packaging is really, really important, obviously to protect the piece, but also to create that sense of event and something magical is happening, right?
Very
so
quickly,
I would be investing in packaging as well.
I talked with Jessica about how if you send something personalized like that, they cannot ignore you. And if they do, you probably wouldn't want to do business with them.
I think that's absolutely true. And I'm sorry, I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No.
I was going to say, so I used to, at one point in my life, I had a friend, my buddy Jay and I used to go out cartooning in restaurants, and we'd do it on napkins and send them around to people. And we'd get all kinds of great reactions. We would meet everybody in the restaurant. We had a blast. And if somebody didn't respond, we would always ask for the cartoon back, which caused them to respond. And I'll bet the coffee thing would do the same.
Oh.
So either way, you get them either incoming or asking to be sent back. That's smart.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
When you think some of these campaigns are, like if a campaign is getting a 90% contact rate, you got to wonder, well, what is wrong with those other 10%? And why are they not responding? And it seems like, maybe even just asking for the piece back, I think that we ought to be able to get those other 10%. It's like, wait a minute. That's not right. If 90% are responding, but 10 aren't, what were they asleep? What's their excuse? So
what's going on?
I think we can actually drive to 100% contact rates. I'm not promising that, but I think that's what we should be driving for.
Yeah.
In these.
Yeah, exactly. All right, time check. It's 3:02 Eastern. Does anybody else have any more questions before we talk about the homework?
I have a very quick question.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I were to buy one of your books, which is going to be the best one to buy? Do I start at the beginning and work my way up, or do I start at the end?
Well, so I'll tell you, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone is an overview of it, and it's got a lot of campaign ideas in it. So, and that's the one I wrote first. And then Get the Meeting has a lot of case studies with photography. So that's also, I would get both of them actually, not because they're my books, but they actually are meant as a companion set. So the yellow one has all these photographs of different campaigns, and there are some crazy ones in there, including one where Chris Christopherson met Johnny Cash and got him to pay attention. He landed a helicopter on his front lawn. That was a big contact campaign.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are a lot of these contact campaigns in there. I wrote that second one because people were saying, I loved what was in the first book. I've used it. I've made money from it. But gee, I sure wish I could have seen what these campaigns looked like. So that's the reason for the second book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. No, fantastic. So thanks for that, Stu. So what's the assignment that you're giving everybody for the next meeting?
Well, I'm sorry, I got to mention, I run a course, an online course. And so there are 6 weekly sessions, and people go through all this online course material. But what's really interesting or really fun about it is that everyone has the same assignment. Everyone has to create their own contact campaign, produce it, and test it. So the course lasts 6 weeks, so it's a little more time. But if we were doing sort of a miniature version of that, well, I would like to see the same thing happen. We're going to reconvene in 2 weeks, and I would like to have each of you. Well, Jack and Jessica, you could work together, I guess, but have each of you come up with your own contact campaign and produce it at least. And if you could send it out. If you could start sending it out and getting response in 2 weeks, that would be great. But at least come up with your own contact campaign and produce it. I mean, when we're done, you're able to actually start playing around with some of these contact campaigns. Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes sense.
That's what I would say. Well, that's the assignment during the course, and magic happens as a result of that. So that's what we should do for the next, or what you should do for the next 2 weeks.
Great. So just as an FYI, everybody, you will get a follow-up email that will have the recording of this session together with the assignment again, just to reiterate what we've discussed. and then a reminder with a link to the next session. So speaking of the next session, so we were talking about in 2 weeks' time, and we were looking at the 22nd of July at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Does that work for everybody?
Works for me.
Yep. Fantastic.
I'll be there.
All right, cool. Okay, folks. This has been fun. Hopefully, we've managed to whet your appetite a little bit in terms of thinking about different ways to get meetings, and well, most important of all, meetings with the right people. And if there's any other questions in the interim, you'll have my contact details. You can reach out to myself and or even to Stu directly.
If I may, I was going to say you can connect with me on LinkedIn or go to my author site, stuheineck.com. You can get a free sneak peek into and get the meeting, the one that's showing behind me. But if you go there, you can connect with me directly as well, and that would be great. I'm happy to answer questions. You know, as we're talking, I see some really interesting opportunities for each of you.
Let me just quickly. I'll just quickly type it into the chat, okay, so that everybody's got the email address there. Okay. Yep. Perfect. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been fun. So take care, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you. It was
Thank you, everyone. See you.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
My pleasure.
Okay, well, that was part one. So we're reconvening in 2 weeks. I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with, what they produce, and I hope they've had some results by the time we get back together again. But you're going to see this transformation that they were kind of shy and tentative, but when they come back, they will have tried these things and they're going to be just fired up. They're going to love what they're doing. And I think some of them are going to be breaking through. So they'll have some of those stories. It's just like when we do the course, actually. But okay, good. Tune in 2 weeks' time. Let's see what they've done. 1, 2, 3. I'll be sharing a lot more campaigns to help you get a meeting with anyone. So if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to visit my author site at stuheineck.com.